Good evening and welcome to Queeries. I'm Brian, your host, and with me this evening I have Isaiah Ashba, who is from the Ronald McDonald House, and you work in fundraising.
Yes,
correct?
I do.
Excellent, and I'm very proud to say that I remembered your name.
It's a challenge, trust me. I won't make you spell it.
Thank you, that's good. So first off, just in terms of the Ronald McDonald House, as we were talking before we started the show, that I think everyone has like this nebulous idea that the Ronald McDonald House is a place for parents with sick kids to go, and that's pretty much about all people know about the Ronald McDonald House. So can you tell us a little bit about, how did the Ronald McDonald House start, and kind of what role does it actually play?
Right. So locally, Ronald McDonald House was founded in 1980, and we were actually on Valley Street. We're not in the exact same location we are now, but a little bit further up. And it came out of a need. There were children staying in the hospital, and the families are, at the bedside as they should be, but it puts a lot of stress on a family. So the Ronald McDonald House is somewhere where they can actually leave the hospital for a little bit. They're still right there. They can spend the night. They can shower. They can eat food. It's a way for them to still be there for their children, but not be in the hospital room where there's the constant beeping and people coming in and out. It lets them get a good night rest, that kind of thing. But out of that, we actually have a second program now as well, which is the Ronald McDonald Family Rooms. So there's actually one in Dayton Children's and one in Emmett's Place at Miami Valley Hospital. It's kind of the same concept. They can do everything they would do at the house, but right there in the hospital. So rather than being, across the street, they're across the hallway from their kid. Oh, okay. So they can go in, get a cup of coffee, sit down, relax, but then still be right there and able to help their child as if it's needed.
Excellent. Well, and I think that just sort of the general notion that again, having some place to go, and I speak not necessarily from the experience of someone with a child, because I don't have a child, but when my father was going through his health issues that he did, it's like you've got these two choices: the hospital room, which honestly, let's face it, they are not made for comfort at all, not even remotely, and the incessant beeping, and then which causes panic for family members, because is that a bad beep, is that a good beep, kind of thing. You've got people whiz banging by. If there's some sort of weird code blue that's going on, you're oh, holy crap.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think it can be stated. I don't think it can be overstated that having some place that resembles a home, that's not a hotel, because hotels are kind of this sterile, whatever, and you're away from your family. I can't overstate the importance of that.
Well, and one thing too. Health issues are a leading cause of bankruptcy. And it's not necessarily just because you're paying medical bills. Like you said, you've got the hotel stay, you've got the meals, you've got all that while you're with your sick family member. We eliminate that. It costs us about $150 a night to operate one room within our house. They are allowed to stay for free. It's not charged, so it's something to take that stress away too. Because everyone's been sick or has a family member who's been sick, and money is a big factor in all of that.
Sure.
And we are so happy to be a home away from home. That's one of our big sayings, where they don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, where am I going to get my next meal? How am I going to get back and forth from the hospital? We provide transportation, all that kind of stuff. So it's not just a place to sleep. It truly is a home.
Oh, wow. Now, does Ronald McDonald House do anything with, just in terms of sort of, I guess, meeting maybe the outside of the physical need, for a place to stay? Do they do anything in terms of, just sort of, is there someone there to just listen to a parent who?
Well, all of our staff is very friendly. We don't have necessarily a counselor on staff.
Gotcha.
But one of the biggest things that we talk about is the community sense of it. Because while the family staying in the room next to you, your child might not have the same diagnosis, you're kind of going through the same experience. So our kitchen is communal, and a lot of times we'll see families bonding, and if there are siblings there, the siblings will be playing. So there's that kind of support that you get from people going through the same thing as you. It was actually really cool. Recently we had one family from Cuba and one family from Guatemala, and neither of them spoke English.
Oh, wow.
So that was a challenge for us as a staff.
Sure.
We do have a staff member who's able to translate, but it was really great for them because they spent all of their time together conversing in their native language and kind
Wow.
of supporting each other.
Wow.
That's something else that you get from a Ronald McDonald House or the Ronald McDonald Family Room, which you wouldn't get from a hotel or
Right.
something like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, hotel staying is miserable.
It is.
It's absolutely, I don't care how great the hotel is, it's still a
Right.
generally
It always
miserable.
sounds fun, but it's
No, it's really not. It's really not. Now, in terms of, so the larger, you have to, basically you're fundraising, and I mean, is this part of the McDonald's Corporation? Do they fund you, or is this more along the lines of, we get donations from everyday people, that sort of thing?
Yeah. So we are a separate entity. We are a local nonprofit, part of the Ronald McDonald House Charities chain, for lack of a better word,
Okay.
organization, I guess. Yes, McDonald's is a financial supporter of us, and they're a great partner. They helped found us. We love them. They love us. But most of the support does come from the community. It comes from events. It comes from people dropping money in the boxes at McDonald's or writing us a check. It comes from grants. It really is a community-supported organization.
So it's really, everyone is kind of like its own local entity, that it's almost like a franchise kind of. Is that, am I thinking correctly there?
Kind of, yes. I mean, we have standards we have to follow that are dictated by national. What is the term we use for them? Global. There it is, because it is a global organization. But each house or chapter is its own nonprofit entity as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Excellent. Now, I know that, again, sort of, again, based on my own experience, with what happened with my father, I think that there would be some people. How can people help? Let's say outside of donating money.
Absolutely.
Just from the standpoint of, because I know a lot of people would be like, oh my, do I have to deal with grieving people, and that's very uncomfortable for me. And because I mean, if you're a perfect stranger and you've got these people that are going through what is the most horrific moment in their lives,
right?
As far as that goes. So that might be, most people are kind of, well, what else can I possibly do? So what could...
There are all kinds of ways to get involved. One of which would be to volunteer, and there are 1,000 different ways to volunteer with us as well. You can do anything from sit at the front desk and greet people as they come in, answer phones. You can be what we call a house refresher, which is just kind of helping us keep the place clean. One great opportunity, if you're looking for something maybe for your coworkers to do together, is actually to come in and prepare a meal. So we serve dinner every single night, 365 days a year, and that's done by volunteer groups.
Oh,
you
wow.
purchase the food, you come in and you cook it together. That's a really great bonding experience, team building experience, and it's a way to help the families as well.
What, I mean, just in terms of, I can't even imagine what I mean, how, does it even register with the families that are staying there just how really awesome this is, or are they so focused that they don't see it?
It's kind of 50-50. I think sometimes there's kind of that tunnel vision of looking at their kids, but once they're out of that situation, overwhelming gratitude always. And they're always very gracious while they're staying as well. I mean, I think most people do realize this is an amazing thing that is being provided to them in a difficult situation, and they're all very grateful and always say thank you. In our upper level, we actually have a guest book, and people can write whatever they want, whether that's a thank you to us or just kind of their thoughts on the day or encouraging other families. And there are things in there that I'm like weeping at my desk while I'm reading it, because they're like, we could not have gotten through this without you, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
I can imagine the emotional gratification, and I can also imagine, does staff there, sometimes it's like, there's just this overwhelming, always on edge. The parents are obviously, and then the sadness of something horrific does in fact happen. What kind of emotional toll does it take on the people that work there? I mean, can you even divorce yourself from what's going on? Because
you somewhat have to. You're obviously very aware that there are things going on in these people's lives and the stress that they're going through, but we're not there for that part of it. We're there for the comfort, we're there for the food, we're there for the smile as you walk past them in the hallway. So while you're very aware of it, you do have to somewhat try to remove yourself. Now, of course, there's still tears when things happen. I mean, that's unavoidable.
Right.
But you do somewhat, just take a step back, and we're here to provide services.
Yeah.
Remind ourselves of that.
I mean, it's a good thing I'm like not a nurse or a doctor, because I would not have any ability whatsoever, because I'm too, my empathy bubble is so huge that, I mean, I mirror what's, I mean, I would,
Yeah.
I would be,
It can be challenging.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'd have the ability to grow a callus that, well, not necessarily, I don't want to say a callus, because that's probably, that sounds awful, but just to have that kind of, that moment of cutting off emotionally.
Absolutely.
There's no way. There's just I'm a weeper.
Yeah.
it's just the way I am. Now, in terms of, do you do fundraising events all year? Is there like one mega fundraising event?
Yes.
Or?
So we actually do 3 what we call our signature fundraising events. That is our golf outing, which is on August 13th this year. It's coming up. And then we do the Radiothon, which we partner with Mix 107.7 on, and we do Doors of Compassion, which is actually a very unique event. In the springtime, this upcoming year, it'll be in April, we actually partner with 30 different homes in the Dayton area, and they're like those kind of homes that you drive by and you're like, man, I really want to go in there. I want to see that home. It looks fabulous. And then we get 30 really amazing chefs as well. And what happens is you buy your ticket and you're randomly paired into a home. So you and whoever you're going with will be placed at a table with anywhere from 8 to 12, 16 other strangers. And you have dinner and talk about kind of what we do. And then we have an awesome after party. But it's a little bit unique in that the after party is a secret location. You don't get to find out until the night of.
Oh, really?
And then there's drinks and dancing and all that kind of stuff. And it's like just... I think it fits us well, because rather than going to some giant ballroom, you're in a comfortable home away from home. It's kind of our thing.
Sure.
So it's a really unique event, and it's a ton of fun, and it's actually my favorite event to plan. So.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, no, it's, I would be mind blown by that, because I think, again, the other, depending on the organization, you kind of have this notion of, well, it's going to be this stuffy, we're going to meet let's meet at Kettering Tower, and we're going to have this very formal, kind of thing, and which, while for a great event, is also kind of an eye-rolling experience, depending. But no, I think that's I think that really is, that's really very clever, actually. Yes. I mean, it really is. What again, since it's mostly local, you still have global policies and whatnot that you have to follow. Where do you, do you want to, what do you want to do for the future in terms of, do you want to grow? Do you want to offer more space? What are like the long range plans for the?
Yeah, so I'm actually glad you asked that. We are one of the smallest houses in the country. Our house has 14 rooms, and we're full pretty much all the time. It's rare that we have an opening, and we do unfortunately have to turn families away. So while there aren't official plans yet, we are looking at expanding and doing that soon, which will require a lot of funding and a lot of partnerships and a lot of work, but it's worth it for the families.
Wow. Yeah, I guess most people would be like, I was under the assumption that it would probably have been far bigger. I didn't realize that it was as small as it was. Yeah. Again, because I've never had to do anything with Ronald McDonald House.
Exactly.
So it's like, oh wow, they've got places for people. I don't even stop to think about.
Right. Well, and with the expanded services at Children's too, when they open the tower and they're bringing on new specialties, people are staying longer as well, which means, of course, less rooms available for new families coming in. So it's definitely something we're excited about and something that is in the very early stages of planning.
Really?
But, yeah.
So do you view this as, you'll have this expansion plan. Do you want to then, once you kind of get your bearings on that, do you want to think about expanding again? And or is there a point of, based on the size of the city and whatnot?
Right. It really depends. If Children's would do another expansion and then we'd be full again, it's really how can we best provide services for the families? So we don't want to be so big that we've got empty rooms and we're wasting revenues on running empty rooms. When we could be putting that towards the families. It really just is all, where's the need and how can we meet it?
So you really do keep a very close eye on.
Yes, absolutely. We were very close, almost to the day. We're tracking statistics of what services are being used, how many cups of coffee are being drank. I mean, it's really phenomenal. I don't do that. I am not a data tracker, but people in our organization are very good at keeping track of, you know, we are at 99% capacity this month, that kind of thing. So.
Wow, good heavens. Well, I mean, it's really no different than what I do. I mean, I do a lot of data tracking on the employees that work under me, and you just, at some point your eyeballs just start crossing because it's like, oh my God, numbers. Wow, that's
right, and that's not my thing.
Yeah. No, you don't want me in charge of a checkbook.
Yeah,
no, that's not my. I'll leave the long-range financial planning to other
people.
That's
yes,
right. Not my thing. Now, in terms of how long have you worked with Ronald McDonald House?
So I have been there. I'm relatively new to the organization, about 9 or 10 months now. Yeah. So it was a good fit for me. This is definitely something I'm passionate about.
Have you always worked in like a nonprofit?
Yeah, I came from another nonprofit in the city, and it was a great organization. I did like my job there, but I saw this, and the cause was like, oh, I have to apply. And
right.
I was fortunate enough to get it, and I'm very happy there.
Wow. What does it do for you? I mean, just from not that people are in this necessarily for self-gratification purpose of
right.
All that, but what has this done for you personally?
I like going to work every day. I don't think there are a lot of people out there that can say that, but I mean, obviously I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed, but I love going to my job. It's just it's a cause I believe in. You know, I don't know how to explain it really, because
right.
Like you said, I don't do it for the self-gratification. That's not why I'm there, but yet there is a ton of that. You know, you feel great going to work, and you know, when you pass a family that they've been there for 40 days and they said, we get to go home today. That's just like, it's such a good feeling.
Wow, I can't even begin to imagine. I mean, honestly, it's probably the same thing that you know, nurses and doctors feel. I mean, because when my father eventually passed away, one of the things, you know, when he made the decision, you know, doctors and nurses came by, and you know, they were shocked, and you know, it's just really interesting, the relationships that kind of form under trial by fire in a way.
Yeah, it's very much a high stress, we often call it crisis situation, but you know, in those moments, I think you see a lot of humanity, and you see a lot of good in people, and it's just a really great experience because you get to bond with them and get to know them. And you know, some of these people, like I said, are coming from foreign countries or states and states away, and your paths never would have crossed. And unfortunately, they crossed. But yet, you know, I'm friends with Facebook on guest families, and you know, they post on my stuff, and I see their kids and how well they're doing, and it's just really awesome.
Oh wow! Well, yeah, I can't even begin to imagine the. You know, as much as I joke that I don't like kids, it's more their parents I don't like, you know, depending on how their kids behave. But to see, number one, a child that becomes healthy again,
right,
and then a family that they were worried that they weren't going to be whole, but
they're whole.
They're whole. I mean, I can't even. As far as my crusty exterior, I'm a big softie on the inside. I really am. I really am. But. Now, is there anything, how would someone go about, let's assume again for a moment that, you know, not only did they want to donate funds, number one, how would they do that? But number two, how would they actually begin the process of volunteering their own time to do something?
So all of our information is on our website, which is rmhcdayton.org. And on there, that'll give you everything you want to know, whether it's donate money, donate time, you know, all kinds of information. So that's the way I would suggest the best. Another thing you could do is always stop by the house on Valley Street, right across from Dayton Children's. I would suggest try to be there during work hours, while we do have guest managers there most of the day. That's the best time to see someone like me who would be able to talk to you about donation or volunteering or that kind of thing. And the need is constant, it's always there, and we would love to have people come by. And while you're there, you can take a tour of the house too, because it really is an amazing facility.
Well, and I think too that I think I've, not that I head that way often, but I think I've passed it, and it's really kind of funny. It's funny when you think that what you notice that you didn't notice, right? Kind of thing, and it's like, because it's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there.
It's right there, but I can't even begin. What a fantastic organization! I mean, seriously, I mean, it's just any organization that would help a family in crisis and need like that. I mean, it's just, you can't cast any aspersions on that at all.
We always say that we hate that we have to exist, but we love that we do. We hate that you have to come through our doors.
Right.
It's one of the only businesses where you don't want people to come through your doors. You know, we don't want you to be there, but when you are there, we're happy to assist you and happy to provide services, that kind of thing.
Excellent. Well, we'll make sure that we put that information up. It'll be under your visage. You know,
Perfect.
We'll put that underneath, and we'll also put it up on our website. And we will be right back.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for Gnoming Around. I'm Mike the Gnome. I'm going to bring to you some information for a very popular perennial to zones 4 to 9, the lily. I'm going to briefly touch on the major varieties and types of lilies and some basic information for each. First is the Asiatic lily. These are by far the easiest lilies to grow. They're also the earliest lilies to bloom, generally mid to late spring. This variety doesn't tend to have a scent, but they do have the widest variety of colors. The height of the Asiatic lily can range from 2 to 4 feet. There are also miniature versions that only get to about a foot or so tall. These do well in complete full sun or low sun locations. Mine do very well in a run along a fence that only gets 2 to 4 hours of sun a day. Our second variety is probably the most sought after, is the Oriental lily. This lily is much taller than the Asiatic, with most being between 3 and 6 feet tall. They bloom later in midsummer mostly. Their blooming colors range from the light reds and pinks to the whites. These, however, are very fragrant, and hummingbirds just love them. If you have a section of these, you will love how the breeze will just bring that scent to you. And the third kind that we're going to talk about is the trumpet lily. These are pretty similar to the Oriental lily, and they do get quite tall, about 5 feet tall, but they tend to be a little less fragrant as the Oriental lily. But the major difference really is the shape of their bloom. They get their name from the trumpet look, being more of a large tube. Time for the more you know. The lily is said to have been created from the breast milk of Hera, wife of Zeus. The goddess Venus was apparently so envious that she caused the pistil to grow through the middle of the flower's bloom. In general, the lily has always been a symbol of purity. Particularly for the death of children, martyrs, and saints, lilies have been sprinkled on the ground or around their graves throughout history to represent purity passing on. This is why lilies are also looked at to be a sign of death as well. No matter the purpose, lilies have always been referred to as the pure flower. And that's the more you know. If you plan to use lilies in your garden, which you should consider planting them in a mass or in groups together. This gives a wow factor to all that intensity of color and magnificent blooms, regardless of the variety that you have. You may also want to consider different varieties of lilies, so that way you have consistent and constant bloom throughout the mid-spring to late summer. I hope you enjoyed our time for the lily. Until next time, I hope to see you out gnoming around.
517 is your change. It's for years ago. And 646.
Thank you.
The day I found out about Emily's diagnosis, I went in for a routine ultrasound. The tech found a hole in her heart. I remember calling my husband crying, saying, "Her heart is broken, it's broken." On May 16th, Emily underwent her first open heart surgery. She spent 3.5 months recovering in the ICU. I never, in a million years, thought that I would ever have to utilize the Ronald McDonald house. And I will be the first to admit that I walked past a coin collector several times and didn't drop my change in. Not anymore. We were welcomed with open arms. It was an instant connection, an instant family. To me as a mom, it meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her. And she was never alone. Thank you from the Chapkauskas family.
Gracias.
Thank you from the Davis family.
Thank you from the Vaughn family.
Thank you.
And welcome back. And thank you very much, Isaiah, for being on the show first time.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And again, what was the website address?
rmhcdayton.org.
Definitely go and check that out and volunteer your time and or your money. And fantastic cause. And thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
So